admit it was quite a terrific event. But I don't know whether you were able to attend. If you were able to attend, I'd like to find out what was your opinion of it. So for me, I like to give you 5 key points, right, that I can pick up from this event, especially because some of you will not have had the chance to attend, and you may be curious to find out, okay, what was all this thing about? So let me explain that to you. So, but before we dive in, let me just say that my name is Tony Teal. I'm the founder CEO of Renewables in Africa. We are your clean energy champion. You may have seen me at the event, right? If that's the case, did you come and say hi to me? Okay, so I'm just going to give you those 5 points. But before that, I just want to say that so we actually broadcast from 5 platforms. We have LinkedIn, we have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, and we also have the Telegram, right? So whatever platform you find suitable, I want you to connect with that, yeah, so that you are aware of our video whenever they are happen, right? They're happening. And why are we doing such a summary? Well, simply because, like I say, we want to make sure that you get the right information, the right insight, and also it can help you to summarize how you actually find the summit went. Because our platform is made actually to help investors who have the money looking to invest into the sector but don't have the right information and trying to form an opinion of it. Yeah. Or you could be a professional looking for a new job. You wanted to switch into the sector, but you don't know how to go and get the right information. If you watch one of our videos, I'm sure you're going to get a lot of information that you can use. Or you're a business, you say that, hey, I want to decarbonize my industry, but I'm not too sure how I'm going to go ahead. This is where we're here. We're here to give you all those information. I'm still here in Nairobi, right? So I'm probably going to be leaving soon, but I just wanted to make sure that I do not leave until I've given you the 5 points that I believe are important for you to remember. Yeah, out of the summit. So let's start. So what is my first point that I picked up from this summit? Yeah. So I'm just gonna say I was so happy to see that AF is back where it belongs, which is the African continent. Absolutely. I know we were celebrating the 25th anniversary of AF, but it's good to be back in Africa. Last time it was Mauritius. Now we're back into continental Africa. And that was great. And you could see that because the turnout was fantastic. I think we had about close to 5,000 people attending, something like that. Yeah. And you could feel the energy, the enthusiasm, the vibe, and also the sense of ownership. Really, that was great. I think all the time, I think we've been in other capital, Brussels last time, and Lisbon. It's great, nothing wrong with that. But if we're talking about challenges that are affecting our continent, it's good to have them happening in Africa, right? And from time to time, okay, we may be having some exotic destination going to Amsterdam and so on and so forth. But as much as possible, if we're having it in the continent, it really does make sense. And why am I saying that? It also makes sense because a number of you would have noticed that there were some, let's say, hiccups, right? A little bit with the registrations, with the Wi-Fi as well. But guys, that's also to remind you that that's the reason we were all here. We were all here because we're all aware that there's a number of things that needs to be, let's say, improved into the continent. And we are here to effectively talk about that. You don't want to be just like presidents, right? Or big VIP. When they come, we make sure that we arrange everything. Everything looks shiny, and after that when they go back is a deluge, right? No, that's what you want to look at. What is the reality? Okay, to some extent, right, there's a minimum standard. I'm sure that EnergyNet have provided that, but hiccups, yeah, it happens. That means that this is where you are, and this is why you actually were brought here to start talking about those issues, and you want to be facing those issues that people are facing on a daily basis. So this is it. So yes, I agree, it could have been better, and I've struggled as well, like everybody else. But I'm just saying as well, this is the reason we were here. And let me say one thing as well, just between you and I. If we had those issues, it's because you have not done your job. Yeah. So that's the way it was. So, but I'm just I was also gonna say there is one little thing that I didn't really enjoy was the food. I personally don't think that it was that fantastic, but that's just a personal opinion. Hey, but let's go back to the different point. But like the first point, definitely, I say I was so happy to see that back in Africa and Kenya. Yes, that was great. Yeah, and I have enjoyed. Now, what was the second point that came out for me that is worth mentioning? I want to talk about President Ruto address, because he opened the conference, and his address I thought was brilliant, to so many degrees. So he reminded us of the progress made by Kenya to allow us to get some perspective. So let me just illustrate that to you. Yeah. So what he says is, in 2013, Kenya only had 30% electrification rate. Yeah. And they improved that to 77% in 2023. So that means in 10-year gap, right? And they've done it with 73% of renewables energy for their electricity. So that is fantastic. And economically, the country, Kenya, has been making steady progress. That is as per the recent report that McKinsey has released. So what it shows here is renewable is good for the economy, contrary to what some may be saying. Yes, by pursuing such an agenda, you are able as well to make some economic progress. And that was brilliant, brilliant, brilliant to hear. And really, like I say, I really like the speech that he made. But I'm not making any political how can I say backing here. Not at all. I'm just talking about what he stated and the way he seemed to be positioning his presidency with regard to the issue we are talking about in here. I thought, yes, he was definitely spot on. He also said that the continent of Africa should embrace the energy transition agenda. I know there's always been that conversation between energy access, energy transition. The reality is, as far as I'm concerned, right, this is actually two faces of the same coin. Yeah, we can't do the one without the other. That's the way I see that as far as Africa is concerned. It also means that yes, energy transition's gonna be done, and I've said already in previous videos, the African way, absolutely. But Africa needs to pursue an energy transition agenda. And the president also said that this is not really time for finger pointing. Why? Because both the emitters and the non-emitters are struggling from the same problem. So they should be working together. And guess what? It's almost like you living in the same house. Some of you are rich, other one are poor, but you don't want to be talking about how are we going to fix a house. You're gonna have to talk together. Yeah. And that it was actually absolutely spot on. I think I really, really appreciate that. Clearly, you also mentioned that so there needs to be a new global finance system. Absolutely, absolutely, because it's inconceivable that a country like Africa that is producing so much resources, right, and where there's so much potential, is ending up having to pay, let's say, a realistic interest rate, double digits. No, it has to be revisited one way or another. Because guess what? Without the continent of Africa, it's impossible globally to apply the energy transition agenda. Impossible. Really impossible. That's what I'm saying. So definitely we need to have a global finance system that work, for everybody. And I believe that's also the message that he took when he went to Paris. And I personally really like it. And I think that's what needs to be done. So that's what I would say for point number two. And I don't know if some of you were able to take note of it. So before I conclude this point, just want to say that I also appreciated the presence of the His Excellency Honorable Dr. Sultan Ahmed Al Jaber. He's the UAE Special Envoy for Climate Change and also the COP28 President designate. I must admit, I wasn't expecting seeing him there, so it was good to see that he's taking an active participation, come and listen to what people from the sector are saying, and also, yeah, taking an interest. That's good to see. That's what a COP president should be doing, going where important discussions are happening, and also take note of them, and hopefully when we come to COP27, integrate that into the global discussion. So one of the things that I picked up was he did mention that COP28 we should be expecting the first official scorecard measurement, the launch of the first official scorecard measurement against the Paris Agreement. So yeah, that was nice. Yeah, so At AEF, you always get this kind of announcement. Yeah. So talking about announcement, that's actually my third point. So what do you usually expect in a big summit like that? It's like you always have big announcement. You would expect it, right? That's where you come from. Yeah, you come for. Yeah. So company that they keep those announcements because they want to make sure that when there is a lot of people, they can push it out there and make impact. And we were not disappointed with that. Yeah. So for example, so we found out I found out that Rolls Royce, the iconic company, was opening in new offices in Kenya, both Kenya and East Africa. So really showing here their commitment into the region. And I'm actually particularly excited because I had the opportunity to interview the managing director for Africa. So that's a podcast that will be coming, for the for our podcast or series. So make sure that you look out for that. And yeah, definitely very, very interesting. That's one announcement. Another one was also Siemens Energy. So they're already present into the region, but they're expanding their offices. They even get the VP, the Vice President for Eastern Africa, who is actually moving to settle here in the region with his family. It really shows the commitment here. And guess what? I also had the pleasure to interview him, but that was for AEF TV. And I'm sure when it's right, AEF will be sharing that with you. Yeah. So the third announcement, there were many, right? Let me just mention some of them. I'm not just going to sit here that I picked up all of them. No, obviously not, because I could not be everywhere with my team. That's some that I've just picked up. The third one was the acquisition, 100% acquisition of BTE Renewables, by NG and Merigem. BT, it's a leading renewable energy company both in South Africa and Kenya, right? And NG, NG and Merigem as well, investors. So yeah, it was interesting to see, how the picture in the sector is been forming and what's happening, right? So you always have those tectonic shift like that at AEF. So yeah, good to see that. And the last announcement I want to talk about here is the for the US. Through the USAID, they were announcing 89 million, to advance access clean energy in East and Central Africa, and that was also at the same time they were celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Power Africa. Power Africa, you remember, was launched by President Obama. So yeah, it's good to see that 10 years down the line, the program is delivering. It's doing fantastic for the continent, and yeah, we can only applaud that. So, little point here, I'm just gonna say. So, I was obviously happy to see that the US is investing more into the continent, but I must say, 89 million. That's great, but for me, it's my personal feeling. It's not enough. It's and that's sometimes the issue. It's the challenges we're having with Africa. It's so big, yeah. And sometimes when we hear about investment, these are tiny, tiny portions. And I'm just wondering, are we really going to make a significant difference here? So we need to be start talking about a lot more than that. So I know I want to be ranting a bit, but when we had challenges like the COVID or the war in Ukraine, we've seen significant amount of money being moved, right, shifted. Yeah, so 89 million, that's not even going to build a 90 megawatts solar plant. Yeah, well, we could, but we need to see a lot more for big players than the US. That is, again, just a personal, opinion, right? So I'm not accusing anybody here. I'm just sharing my perspective. So I'm sure many of you will be on the thinking differently, and I'm sure as well. So the Samantha Power, who announced it, probably will be disagreeing to some respect. No problem. I would say yes, it's an encouragement, to see that the US still investing. But I personally think that you know for us to really say that we want to be solving those problems by 2030, the kind of deadline we're giving ourselves, it has to be bolder and bigger. And again, like I say, so the global energy transition not going to be realized without the help of Africa and the participation of Africa. And if Africa needs to be providing the valuable resources, both hydrogen, mining, and rare earth mineral, things like that, in exchange, we also expecting those partners to show there's a real commitment. That personally, what I think. Yeah, enough of it. We can talk about that. We can talk about in detail another time. So let me move on to the fourth point. Yeah. So the fourth point for me was the Youth Energy Summit. Yes, Africa about 60%. So if I'm still correct with my figures of the population, young people. So yes, it's inconceivable. It's unthinkable to do such a summit without the presence and involvement of young people. And that was a great initiative by EnergyNet. Absolutely. Yeah. So fantastic to see young people be part of the conversation. I personally interacted with many of them and they were delighted. You could see it in their eyes, yeah, to participate and to rub shoulders with industry leaders. I think they were very, very happy about it. They all were asking, how can we have more of this? Can we have it more during the year? Right? They were asking all sort of questions. They would bring the enthusiasm, the creativity. That was great. Yeah. And yeah, I really appreciate that. And I think that definitely it was also spot on by EnergyNet. So, and more the highlight was obviously I'm an entrepreneur, so obviously we'll talk about that. Is the Youthpreneur Energy Showdown, which was a competition where you had six finalists that were asked to come up with solutions for pressing challenges in implementing sustainable energy. So obviously, great contribution, and the winner here was Mercy Kialo. So I think it was Felon Green Venture. So the large e-cooking equipment for schools and colleges, and yeah, so she won the competition, and she won the prize of guess $5,000. And that's my message for EnergyNet and the partners, right? I think it's GAPP. So the Youthpreneur Showdown was a brilliant initiative to hear from our young people because they're the future of the continent and of the world, absolutely. So, but I personally think that the price should have been higher, right? And maybe have like a price for the second and for the third. So if there is a second edition in Egypt, because that's where the AEF is going to be next year, can have a price for second price, third price would be good. But 5,000 for me again, I almost gonna say it's almost ridiculous. But again, it's a personal opinion, and I'm saying that obviously because I love the AEF, right? So I don't want to criticize you. I'm just giving my opinion, and people will be disagreeing. That's fine. That's as I say. So I don't think that was strong enough. I would have expected a 10,000 check or 15,000 check. Yeah. So it's not there. So I think maybe but that was the first time. So clearly, we need to congratulate EnergyNet and the partners for coming up with such an initiative anyway. So, and I believe as well, I don't know whether they had enough support to make a bigger prize, but I'm saying industries, leaders, if we say that we're going to be really encouraging our young people, we're also going to put our money, put the money where, yeah, what's the expression again? Put the money where your mouth is, yeah, something like that, yeah. But anyway, you hear what I'm saying. So we need to be able to show it, yeah. So we talking about $100 million, project, 100 megawatts, megawatt. Those are $1 million projects, and we can't be just giving to our young people. They're coming up with, let's say, great initiative to solve pressing challenges. That's what we say. And we only give them 5,000. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, that's what I want to say. So that was my fourth point. So let me just conclude that. Yeah. So the fifth point, okay, it's the visit of Ngong Wind Farm. Yes, he was not part of AEF. And that's probably as well an area I would invite my friend from AEF to think about, right? If there is any possibility. I know it was such a big summit, 4 days already. So yeah, it could be quite long, and they already have a lot on their plate. However, if there was some room for improvement, let me suggest that what could be added could be a day out visit. sometimes to take people outside in the countryside so they can go and visit. So that's what we did by visiting so Gong Wind Farm. So we went hiking there and we went visiting, yeah, the farm. It's 25 kilometers away from Nairobi, and then yeah, that was fantastic. Let me play a small video here. Yeah, show you Ngong, and then you will see what we're talking about. But 1 second. Okay, it's coming. The video. There you go. Let me show you another view of Ngong Wind Farm. We've gone up. We're not going down, right? We just went to the top of the first hill. There's 5 like that we need to climb. I'll be for the next episode, guys. See you soon. Okay, yes, I've shown you Ngong. Yeah, so that was a great visit. So we did that yesterday. So with my guy, so Oluochwere, so the RIA representative in Kenya and East Africa. Definitely reach out to him if you want to. And yeah, that was fantastic. So that's something I also recommend that you are doing. I think that was it for the 5 point, the 5 takeaway from AF 2023. So we'll be very happy to hear about you, what are your 5 takeaways, and let's compare that. Yeah, and that would be great. One thing I've not talked about probably for next episode, talking about the importance of having solutions for risk. Yeah, so because risk is still a big part of the problem here. So how do we actually tackle them? So I talk about that. I talk about probably a solution we are involved with the African Energy Guarantee Facility, AEGF. Probably gonna drop the links somewhere down there, and you find out more about that. So that's what I had to say. So you have a fantastic day, and I'm hoping that if you attended the summit, you enjoyed. Just let us know what was your takeaway. If you did not attend it, hey, I'm hoping that I provided you a summary of what happened, so we'll give you a better idea of what you should expect, and maybe next year you'll be with us, guys. Have a fantastic day, and may the sun be with you. Take care. Bye bye.